In my first life, the one that ended just this morning, I was a man who had everything figured out. I was Dr. Marcus Thorne, a man whose hands were steady enough to repair the delicate machinery of the human heart, both literally and figuratively. My practice was a testament to years of grueling work, a sanctuary of healing I had built from the ground up. My wife, Elena, was the beautiful, vibrant woman who had swept into my structured world and painted it with color. She was my partner, my confidant, my biggest supporter. Our life was a carefully constructed masterpiece of quiet dinners, shared laughter, and mutual respect. The biggest rival to my happiness, I thought, was time itself. The constant battle to carve out more moments with her, away from the demands of my profession. I died this morning, not in a literal sense, but in a way that was far more brutal. I died at my own kitchen counter, holding a single piece of paper, my heart ceasing to be a muscle of love and turning into a cold, hard stone in my chest. I'm staring at the insurance claim, and the words swim before my eyes, refusing to make sense. It's a pristine, white sheet of paper from our provider. An explanation of benefits that feels more like a declaration of war. My gaze is stuck on one line, a clinical, typed-out summary of a life I never knew I was funding. Patient, Derek Martinez. Relationship stepson. Procedure, emergency appendectomy. Total billed, $47,852.17. Amount paid by plan, $47,000. Stepson. The word feels alien on my tongue. Elena and I don't have children. We talked about it, of course, in those hazy, optimistic days after the wedding 3 years ago. Maybe in a few years, Marcus, she'd said, her hand tracing circles on my arm. Let's just enjoy being us for a while. I had agreed, content in the world we were building for two. We certainly didn't have a son old enough to need an emergency appendectomy. I've never heard the name Derek Martinez in my life. The metallic taste of betrayal floods my mouth, coppery and sharp, and I grip the edge of the granite countertop to steady myself. The smooth, cool stone is the only solid thing in a world that has suddenly dissolved into chaos. My breath catches, a ragged, painful thing. My hands, the same hands that perform microsurgery with unwavering precision, are shaking so violently that the paper crackles like dry leaves. 3 years. 3 years of waking up next to her, of sharing my dreams, my fears, my entire life. Was any of it real? Every shared smile, every whispered "I love you," every quiet moment of intimacy now feels tainted, like a scene from a movie where I was the only one who didn't know the script. Rage and confusion collide inside me, a nauseating vortex of emotion. One moment, I want to punch a hole through the wall. The next, I feel a hollow ache so profound I think I might collapse. My entire marriage, the bedrock of my world, is crumbling in the space of 30 seconds, all because of a single piece of mail. My mind, trained to diagnose and solve problems under pressure, kicks into overdrive, pushing past the shock. The timing of this is catastrophic. My lawyer's voice from our meeting last week echoes in my head. We were discussing a routine update to my professional corporation structure. Marcus, your assets have grown significantly, he'd said. Next month's annual evaluation will put the practice's value at double what it was when you married Elena. If, God forbid, anything were to happen, she'd be entitled to half of that new valuation. Next month. The words are a ticking clock. But he also said something else, a clause in our prenuptial agreement. Any filings for dissolution before the annual reevaluation would be based on the previous year's numbers. It's a legal loophole, a financial firewall. I glance at the clock on the oven. 9:14 a.m. The divorce papers. They have to be filed by tomorrow at 5 p.m. If I don't act now, this betrayal won't just cost me my heart. It will gut the practice I've bled for, the one thing that is unequivocally mine. This isn't just about a broken heart anymore. It's about survival. My shaking hand pulls my phone from my pocket. I open the camera, my fingers fumbling on the screen. With a sharp tap, I take a photo of the claim, the image of Derek Martinez's stepson, now immortalized in my phone. The evidence, the proof that my life has been a lie. I scroll through my contacts, my thumb hovering over her name, Elena, my love. With a fresh wave of nausea, I bypass it, my jaw tight, and find the number I now need most. I press the button, the dial tone buzzing in my ear like an angry insect. "David," I say, my voice a strained whisper when my lawyer answers. "It's Marcus. We have a problem, a big one. I need you to draw up the divorce papers immediately." The phone feels cold against my ear as I dial the insurance company's customer service line. The cheerful, automated voice guiding me through the menu is a bizarre counterpoint to the storm raging inside me. For questions about a claim, press 3. I press it with a thumb that feels disconnected from my body. After a series of clicks and a short burst of mind-numbingly bland hold music, a human voice comes on the line. "Thank you for calling Apex Health. This is Brenda. How can I help you today?" "Hello, Brenda," I say, my voice low and steady, a doctor's voice. I force it into a tone of calm authority. "My name is Dr. Marcus Thorne. My policy number is AXH 77409B. I'm calling to dispute a series of claims." "Okay, Dr. Thorne. I can help with that. Can you give me the patient's name and the date of service?" "The patient's name is Derek Martinez," I state, the name tasting like ash. "The claim I'm looking at is for an emergency appendectomy, but I have reason to believe there are others. I want to formally dispute every single claim filed under that name against my policy." There's a pause on the other end, the sound of typing. "I see the appendectomy claim from 3 weeks ago, and yes, it looks like there are several others. Prescriptions, a few specialist visits. You're disputing all of them?" "That is correct. This individual is not my dependent. He is not my stepson. I have never heard of him. I believe this is a case of insurance fraud." The word hangs in the air between us. It's a heavy, ugly word. Brenda's tone shifts instantly from placid customer service to serious concern. "Fraud, sir? That's a very serious allegation." "I'm aware," I say, my voice like ice. "Which is why I need you to do 2 things for me. First, I want you to freeze all activity related to this dependent. No more claims, no more prescriptions, nothing. Effective immediately. Second, I need you to open a formal fraud investigation. I want to know who added this person to my policy, when they did it, and what documentation was provided." "Yes, sir, of course. We take this very seriously. I'm flagging the account now and escalating it to our Special Investigations Unit. They will be in touch with you within 24 hours. "Thank you, Brenda." I hang up, feeling a grim sense of satisfaction. The first domino has fallen. It doesn't take long for the reverberations to reach Elena. She must have gotten an alert. Perhaps Derek's wife, or whoever she is, tried to fill a prescription. A few hours later, the door to my home office bursts open, and Elena storms in, her face a mask of fury. She's still in her chic business attire, looking every bit the successful marketing executive she is. "Marcus, what did you do?" she demands, her voice sharp. "I just got a call from the pharmacy. They said our insurance was declined." I lean back in my leather chair, steepling my fingers and looking at her. I study her face, searching for any flicker of the woman I thought I knew. I find none. "Our insurance wasn't declined, Elena. I canceled the coverage for your stepson." Her eyes widen, a flash of panic before the anger returns. "You can't just cancel medical coverage. Derek needed that. What is wrong with you?" "Watch me," I reply, my voice dangerously quiet. "Watch me cancel a lot more than that." I slide the copy of the insurance claim across my polished mahogany desk. It stops just before her manicured hands. Explain this. Explain Derek Martinez. She glances at the paper, her composure finally cracking. He's my friend's son. They were in a tough spot. I was just trying to help. The lie is so pathetic, so transparent, it's almost insulting. Your friend's son? Elena, the claim says stepson. You don't get to just help people by committing felony insurance fraud with my policy. A policy that, I might add, is tied to my medical license. You're overreacting. It's not that big of a deal. Not a big deal? I stand up, my voice rising for the first time. You used my name, my career, to insure a stranger. You lied, you forged, you stole. That's a very big deal, Elena. To me, to the insurance company, and I imagine, to the district attorney. Her face goes pale. The fight drains out of her, replaced by a dawning, terrifying understanding. Before she can formulate another lie, my phone rings. I see the unfamiliar number and answer it, putting it on speaker. Dr. Thorne, this is Frank Miller from the Apex Health Special Investigations Unit. I'm calling regarding the potential fraud on your account. I look directly at Elena, whose eyes are now wide with horror. Yes, Mr. Miller, I'm here. What have you found? It didn't take long to pull the records, sir. The dependent, Derek Martinez, was added to your policy 6 months ago. The request was submitted online from an IP address that traces back to your wife's employer. My eyes lock with Elena's. Her mouth opens slightly, a silent gasp. The authorization was done using your wife's login credentials, and she uploaded supporting documentation. What kind of documentation? I ask, though I already know the answer will be sickening. A signed custody agreement, sir. A court document naming Elena Thorne as the stepmother and legal guardian of Derek Martinez, with you listed as her spouse. It appears to be notarized. Forged custody documents, created on her work computer. The scope of the deception is breathtaking. It's not a moment of weakness, it's a calculated long-term conspiracy. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Please send me copies of everything you've found. I disconnect the call and stare at the woman who is, for all intents and purposes, a stranger to me. She's trembling now, her bravado completely gone. Marcus, please, she whispers. I feel nothing. The part of me that loved her has been surgically removed. The time for pleading is over, Elena. You need to leave. This is my house, too. Not for long, I say, my voice flat. I'd suggest you call a lawyer. You're going to need one. She stands there for a moment, lost, before turning and fleeing the room. I hear her sobbing as she runs up the stairs. I don't feel a shred of pity. I feel cold, clear, and focused. While she's upstairs having a meltdown, I get to work. I log into our joint bank accounts, the ones with the money from my practice, and transfer every penny into a new individual account my lawyer helped me set up this afternoon. I change the passwords to everything: our streaming services, our credit card accounts, the alarm system, the Wi-Fi. By the time she comes back from her book club tonight, a phrase that now seems like a bitter joke, she will be locked out of our life in every conceivable way. The lines have been drawn. The battle has begun. The night air is cold and bites at my exposed skin, a stark contrast to the sterile, climate-controlled world of my operating rooms. I'm parked across the street from a nondescript 3-story apartment building in a part of town I've never been to. The engine of my truck is off, the silence inside the cab amplifying the frantic beating of my own heart. I raise the binoculars to my eyes, the rubber cups cool against my face. My target is a silver sedan parked in a visitor's spot, Elena's car. Her book club is apparently held in apartment 2B. My lawyer's advice was simple. Get more evidence, Marcus. The fraud is clear, But motive, conspiracy, that stuff helps. If you can prove she wasn't just making a mistake, but was engaged in a deliberate scheme with this person, it strengthens our position immeasurably. So here I am, playing private investigator, a role I never imagined for myself. I feel a grim determination settle over me. I am no longer just the victim. I am the hunter. For over an hour, I wait. I watch the windows of the building, occasionally seeing silhouettes move behind drawn blinds. I think about the past 3 years, replaying memories in my head, searching for the cracks I missed. Were there late nights she couldn't explain? Vague answers to simple questions? A sudden secretiveness with her phone? In retrospect, the signs were there. Small red flags I had willfully ignored, blinded by what I thought was love. I had trusted her, implicitly. The thought makes me sick. I trusted the woman who was forging court documents to steal from me. Then, I see movement. The front door of the apartment building opens, spilling a wedge of yellow light onto the dark pavement. 2 figures emerge, and I instinctively raise the binoculars, my heart hammering against my ribs. It's Elena, her familiar laugh carrying faintly on the cold air. Beside her is a man. My breath catches. I had imagined a teenager, a troubled kid from a bad home that Elena, in her misguided way, had tried to help. That was the only narrative that made even a sliver of sense. But the man beside her is not a teenager. He's my age, maybe a few years younger. He's tall, with dark hair, and as they step under a streetlight, I see him slide his arm around her waist, pulling her close. She leans into him, her head resting on his shoulder with an easy familiarity that speaks of countless hours spent just like this. This isn't a concerned friend. This is intimacy. This is an affair. This is Derek. They're walking towards her car. They stop beside the driver's side door, and he turns her to face him. They kiss. A long, lingering kiss that sends a fresh wave of white-hot rage through me. My hands grip the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turn white. It's one thing to be stolen from. It's another to be made a fool of. I need to hear them. The thought is a desperate, primal urge. I fumble in the glove compartment for the high-powered listening device my lawyer's private investigator contact had recommended. It looks like something out of a spy movie. I point it towards them, slip on the headphones, and turn the dial. Their voices crackle to life in my ears, amplified and unnervingly clear. "This is my husband's insurance, baby," Elena is saying, her voice a low conspiratorial murmur. "He'll never notice. One more claim is just a drop in the bucket." "What if he finds out?" Derek's voice is laced with anxiety. "Elena, this is getting risky." "Marcus is too busy playing doctor to pay attention to paperwork," she says with a dismissive wave of her hand. The casual cruelty of her words hits me like a physical blow. That's all I am to her. A walking bank account. A resource to be exploited. He trusts me completely. It's been 6 months and he hasn't suspected a thing. "Good thing," Derek says, and his voice drops even lower. "Because Maria's chemo starts next week. The first round is going to be expensive." "Maria? Chemo?" The words slam into me. My mind races, connecting the dots with sickening speed. Maria must be his wife. And she has cancer. They're not just using my insurance for a routine appendectomy or a few prescriptions. They are planning to finance a full course of cancer treatment on my dime. The sheer audacity of it is staggering. This isn't just about an affair or covering for a reckless boyfriend. This is a cold, calculated plan to exploit my generosity, my trust, and my career to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. "Don't worry," Elena soothes, her hand stroking his cheek. "I told you I've got us covered. Maria will get the best treatment, and Marcus will pay for it. He owes us that much." Owes us? The entitlement in her voice is galling. What could I possibly owe them? Owe the man sleeping with my wife? Owe the woman who built our marriage on a foundation of lies? The cold December air bites my face as I lower the listening device, the conversation replaying in my mind. The betrayal is deeper, darker, and more twisted than I could have ever imagined. It's a parasitic relationship, and I am the host. They are leeches, draining my lifeblood to sustain their own. A profound, chilling clarity washes over me. This isn't just about divorce anymore. This isn't just about protecting my assets. This is about justice. This is about stopping them. I watch as Elena finally gets into her car and drives away, leaving her lover standing on the curb. I wait until her taillights disappear around the corner before starting my truck. The hunt just got a whole lot more serious. The next 2 days are a blur of methodical, sleepless work. The initial shock, the explosive rage, has receded. In its place is something colder, something sharper. It's the feeling I get before a complex surgery, a state of heightened focus where emotion is a luxury I cannot afford. My home office, once a place of quiet study, has become a war room. The large mahogany desk is buried under stacks of paper. Bank statements, credit card bills, and a mountain of insurance documents I've had couriered over from Apex Health. Each page is a piece of the puzzle, a breadcrumb in the trail of Elena's deception. I discovered that her scheme wasn't just limited to Derek and his wife, Maria. It's an entire cottage industry of fraud. I find claims for Derek's parents, his father's heart medication, his mother's physical therapy. I even find a claim for an emergency dental procedure for someone listed as Derek Martinez Jr., a 7-year-old grandson I supposedly have. They've been using my name to create a healthcare safety net for their entire family. The most damning evidence comes from the insurance authorizations. For 8 months, Elena has been forging my signature on documents authorizing expensive treatments and procedures. She's gotten good at it. My signature, which I've spent a lifetime cultivating to be a unique, illegible scrawl, has been replicated with chilling accuracy. She must have practiced, tracing it over and over from documents I'd left on my desk. The thought sends a shiver down my spine. The woman I slept next to every night was studying me, not with love, but with the cold, assessing eye of a counterfeiter. The total is staggering. I run the numbers on a calculator, the quiet clicks punctuating the silence of the room. So far, it's over $200,000 in fraudulent claims. And that's before the chemo. Maria's cancer treatments would push that figure into the millions. They weren't just stealing from me. They were poised to bankrupt my insurance policy, a disaster that could have had catastrophic consequences for my practice and my ability to be insured in the future. My lawyer, David, is both appalled and impressed. "Marcus, this is meticulous," he says over the phone as I email him scans of the documents. "This isn't a crime of passion or desperation. This is a calculated, long-term criminal enterprise. The forged signatures, the fake custody papers, the breadth of the fraud. She's gift-wrapped a prosecution for the DA. I want to stop them," I say, my voice flat. "Not just in court, I want to stop them now." "What are you thinking?" "I know where Derek lives. I know when Elena visits. I want to confront them, but not alone." "You're thinking of calling the police?" "More than that," I say. An idea solidifying in my mind, a plan taking shape with surgical precision. I want to serve them. I want to be there when they realize the game is over. I want a sheriff's deputy with me to serve the fraud charges. David is silent for a moment. "That's aggressive, Marcus. It could get messy." "Her actions have already made it messy," I counter. "She chose this path. I'm just choosing the destination. She thinks I'm a fool. Too busy playing doctor to notice. I want her to see that the doctor she dismissed is the man who is going to dismantle her entire world, piece by piece." "So, We make the arrangements. David works his connections, coordinating with the district attorney's office, which has agreed to fast-track the complaint based on the overwhelming evidence. A deputy has been assigned to meet me. The confrontation is set. In 6 hours, I will drive to Derek's apartment. But this time, I won't be hiding in the shadows with a listening device. I'll be knocking on the front door with the full weight of the law standing behind me. In these final hours of waiting, a strange calm descends. The rage is gone, burned away by the cold fire of purpose. The grief is packed away, a problem to be dealt with at a later date, like post-operative recovery. Right now, I am no longer a husband, no longer a victim. I am a surgeon, and Elena is the disease. The procedure is about to begin, and I am going to cut her out of my life with absolute precision. There will be no hesitation. There will be no mistakes. Every move from this point forward will be calculated for maximum legal impact. The time for feeling is over. The time for acting is here. The morning is crisp and clear, the kind of autumn day that feels full of promise. For me, it's a day of methodical destruction. My first stop isn't Derek's apartment. It's downtown, at the county courthouse. I'm not there to file anything yet. I'm there to deliver a package. I walk into the district attorney's office, my footsteps echoing on the marble floors. I'm holding a thick manila envelope. Inside is a pristine, organized set of documents, copies of every fraudulent claim, the forged custody papers, the traced signatures, and a detailed timeline of the fraud I've painstakingly constructed. I hand it to the clerk, my face impassive. "This is for Assistant DA Miller," I say. "It's evidence pertaining to a criminal complaint for insurance fraud. He's expecting it." The clerk takes the package, her expression professionally neutral, but her eyes flicker with curiosity. I nod once, turn, and walk out. Strike one. My next stop is a sleek, glass and steel building a few blocks away, the corporate headquarters of the marketing firm where Elena is a senior vice president. I ask for the Human Resources Department. A few minutes later, I'm sitting across from a woman named Sarah, the director of HR. She has a kind but no-nonsense face. "Dr. Thorne," she says, her brow furrowed. "Your call was rather cryptic. You said you have evidence of a serious ethical breach concerning one of our employees?" "I do," I say calmly. "The employee is Elena Thorne, and the breach involves the use of company resources to commit a felony." I slide another envelope across her desk. This one contains the insurance investigator's report, specifically highlighting the fact that the fraudulent documents were created and uploaded from an IP address inside this very building. I also include a copy of the forged custody agreement. Sarah's eyes scan the documents, her professionalism giving way to visible shock. Her gaze lifts to meet mine, her expression grim. "She used our computers to forge a court document?" "It appears so," I say. "I felt her employer should be aware of the kind of activities their senior executives are engaged in on company time." "Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Dr. Thorne," she says, her voice tight. "We have a zero-tolerance policy for this kind of behavior. I assure you, we will be conducting our own internal investigation immediately." I thank her for her time and leave. Strike two. The machine of consequences is now in motion, on both the legal and professional fronts. I'm driving back to my house when my phone buzzes. It's Elena. I let it go to voicemail. It buzzes again and again. On the fifth call, I finally answer, putting it on speaker. "Marcus?" Her voice is a frantic, panicked shriek. "We need to talk! You have to stop this!" "The time for talking ended when you decided to commit felony fraud, Elena," I reply, my tone devoid of any emotion. "It's not what you think. I can explain everything." "Can you?" I ask, a dangerous edge to my voice. Then explain the $200,000 in fake claims for your boyfriend's family. Explain the forged custody papers. Explain how you were planning on financing his wife's cancer treatments with my money. Explain it to me, Elena. I'd love to hear the explanation. There's a choked sob on the other end of the line. She has no explanation. There isn't one. "Please, Marcus," she begs. "You're destroying my life." "No," I say, my voice cold as steel. "You destroyed your life. You lit the match, you set the fire. I'm just standing back and watching it burn." I hang up the phone. A few minutes later it rings again. This time it's an unknown number. I answer it warily. "Dr. Thorne, it's Sarah from Elena's office again." "Yes, Sarah, what can I do for you?" "Our IT department just finished their initial review," she says, her voice strained. "It's worse than we thought. Elena didn't just use her computer. She used the company's high-end design software, the programs we use for our biggest clients, to create the fake custody documents. She even used a company account to access a legal document template service. There's a clear digital trail. It's undeniable." This new information adds another layer of premeditation to her crimes. She didn't just type something up in Word. She used professional tools to create a sophisticated forgery. "There's more," Sarah continues. "In her deleted files, we found drafts, versions of your forged signature she was practicing. Dr. Thorne, this wasn't a one-time thing. This was a project." "I understand," I say, my stomach twisting. "Thank you for letting me know." Just as I end the call with Sarah, another one comes in. It's the assistant DA. "Dr. Thorne," he says, his voice brisk and professional. "We've reviewed the materials you dropped off. Combined with the report from the insurance company, this is one of the most clear-cut cases of large-scale insurance fraud I've seen in years. We're filing the charges officially. They'll be processed by tomorrow morning." "What does that mean for her?" I ask. Given the amount, the duration, and the level of sophisticated forgery involved, she's facing significant jail time. If convicted on all counts, she's looking at a minimum of 3 to 5 years in a state prison. 3 to 5 years. The number echoes in the silence of my car. I think of Elena, of the life we shared, of the woman I thought I loved. And I feel nothing but a vast, empty sense of justice. She built a house of cards on a foundation of lies, and now it's all coming down, and I'm the one who's pushing it over. The courthouse steps are gray and imposing under a washed-out sky. The air is chilly, carrying the scent of impending rain. I stand at the bottom, my hands in the pockets of my trench coat, a single leather briefcase held firmly in my right hand. Inside it is every piece of evidence, every document, every lie, organized with the precision of a surgical tray. Today is the preliminary hearing for the fraud charges. I see them before they see me. Elena, Derek, and a man in an expensive suit who must be her lawyer. They're huddled together near the entrance, their expressions a mixture of anxiety and anger. Elena looks terrible. Her normally flawless makeup is blotchy, her eyes are red-rimmed and puffy, and she carries herself with a defeated slump. Derek stands beside her, his arm protectively around her shoulders, but he keeps glancing around nervously, like a cornered animal. As I start up the steps, Elena's head snaps up. Her eyes lock onto mine, and a flicker of her old fire returns, fueled by desperation. She breaks away from her lawyer and marches down the steps to meet me, her heels clicking angrily on the stone. Derek and the lawyer hurry to follow. "Marcus," she spits, her voice a harsh whisper. "You have to stop this. You can still tell them it was a misunderstanding." I stop a few feet from her, my expression unreadable. "There is no misunderstanding, Elena." "You destroyed my life over money," she accuses, her voice rising, attracting the attention of a few people passing by. "No, Elena," I say, my voice low and steady, cutting through her hysteria. You destroyed your life over lies. The money was just the tool you used. Derek steps forward, positioning himself between us. He's trying to look intimidating, but I can see the fear in his eyes. You don't understand. My wife, Maria, she was sick. She needed the treatment. Then you should have used your own insurance, Derek, I reply, not even bothering to raise my voice. You should have gotten a second job. You should have done anything other than conspire with my wife to steal from me. He doesn't have insurance that would cover it, Elena cries, her voice cracking. He was laid off. We were desperate. Desperate people don't spend 6 months forging documents and practicing signatures, I state calmly. Desperate people don't add their lover's entire family to a stolen insurance policy. That's not desperation. That's greed. That's entitlement. You never cared about anyone but yourself, she throws at me, the ultimate deflection. You were always at the hospital, always working. You were never there for me. Says the woman who forged custody papers for a fake stepson to steal medical coverage. I counter, each word a carefully placed scalpel. You want to talk about who was there for whom? I was there building a life for us, a life you were happily enjoying while you were draining my resources and sleeping with him. I gesture dismissively towards Derek. I was trying to save a life, she screams, her last pathetic justification. By committing fraud that could have cost me my medical license? I take a step closer, my voice dropping to a dangerously quiet level. A crime that could have destroyed not just my future, but the futures of my employees and my patients who depend on me? Your noble cause doesn't seem so noble when you look at the collateral damage, does it? Her lawyer finally steps in, putting a hand on her arm. Elena, that's enough. He turns to me, his face a professional mask. Dr. Thorne, perhaps we can discuss a resolution. My client is willing to— There is no resolution to discuss, I interrupt him, my gaze fixed on Elena. Your client is a criminal. The only thing to discuss is the length of her sentence. I walk past them, up the remaining steps, and into the courthouse. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere is tense. We sit on opposite sides, a vast, empty space between us. When the judge calls the case, we all rise. The assistant DA presents the state's case, a damning summary of the fraud. Then, Elena's lawyer gets up and begins to spin his tale of a compassionate woman, driven to desperate measures by a friend's medical crisis. He tries to paint me as a cold, vindictive husband, punishing his wife for a simple mistake. The judge listens patiently. When the lawyer is finished, the judge looks at me. Dr. Thorne, does the state's summary of events align with your understanding? It does, Your Honor, I say, standing up. But I have something that might provide some additional clarity. I walk to the front of the courtroom and open my briefcase. I place 2 documents on the judge's bench. Your Honor, this is the original insurance policy summary I received, which started this entire process. And this, I say, placing the other document next to it, is the forged custody agreement my wife created and submitted to the insurance company. The one notarized with a forged seal. I watch the judge's face as he examines the documents. He looks at the fake custody agreement, then back at Elena. I see her lawyer's face fall, his carefully constructed narrative crumbling to dust in the face of such blatant physical evidence. The judge's expression hardens. He looks at Elena, his voice booming in the quiet room. Miss Thorne, the evidence presented by the state is substantial and frankly disturbing. This is far beyond a simple misunderstanding. He sets Elena's trial date and, at the DA's request, issues a temporary restraining order, effective immediately. Elena is to have no contact with me and is not to come within 500 feet of my home or my practice. The gavel falls with a sharp, final crack. It's over. For now. I turn and walk out of the courtroom without a backward glance. I don't need to see her face. I don't need to hear her excuses. I walk out into the cool, clean air, feeling the weight of the past few days begin to lift. Justice will follow its course, and I, finally, can begin to rebuild my life. The wheels of justice, though they sometimes grind slowly, are inexorably thorough. Elena's trial was a straightforward affair. Faced with the mountain of digital and physical evidence, her lawyer had little to work with. The jury found her guilty on all counts. The judge, citing the premeditated nature and the sheer scale of the fraud, sentenced her to 18 months in a state correctional facility. Not the 3 to 5 years the DA had hoped for, but a significant, life-altering consequence nonetheless. Derek, who testified against her in exchange for a lesser charge of conspiracy, received 2 years of probation. His wife, Maria, found a path to treatment through state-funded programs and charitable aid. The last I heard, her cancer was in remission. I felt a strange, distant relief at that news. Her illness was never the issue. The crime committed in its name was. The divorce was finalized shortly after her sentencing. Our prenup was ironclad, but the fraud conviction rendered parts of it moot in my favor. Any claim she had to my practice or its increased value was voided by her criminal actions against me. In the end, she walked away with nothing. I kept the house, the practice, and the assets we had accumulated, but more importantly, I kept my integrity. I had defended myself without stooping to her level, using the truth as my only weapon. 6 months have passed since the day she was sentenced. The silence in the house was deafening at first, a constant reminder of the life that had been stolen from me. But slowly, I began to fill it again, not with echoes of the past, but with the sounds of a new beginning. I started having friends over for dinner. I re-engaged with my hobbies. Woodworking in the garage, my hands shaping raw timber into something new and beautiful. A satisfying, tangible act of creation. My practice has never been busier. News travels fast in the medical community, and the story of what happened, though I never spoke of it publicly, became a quiet legend. Patients, I found, have a deep respect for a doctor who not only fixes hearts, but also stands up for what's right. My reputation, which Elena's actions could have easily destroyed, was somehow enhanced. Last month, I went on a date. Her name is Clara. She's an architect, a woman who builds things, who understands foundations and structures. We had coffee, and for the first time in years, I found myself laughing without a shadow of the past hanging over me. We talked for hours, and I didn't once think about insurance claims or forged documents. It was easy. It was normal. It felt like healing. Sometimes late at night when the house is quiet, I think about Elena. I don't feel anger anymore, or even pity. I just feel a profound sense of distance, as if I'm remembering a character from a book I once read. Her betrayal was a cataclysmic event, a bomb that detonated at the center of my life. But I've come to realize something important. You can't control the betrayals that come your way. You can't stop others from lying or stealing. The only thing you can control is your response. You can let the wreckage define you, or you can choose to rebuild. I chose to rebuild. I used my freedom not to seek revenge, but to heal. I learned that the best revenge isn't loud and vindictive, it's quiet and resolute. It's the simple, unassailable act of living a good life, a life of integrity, a life that proves that no matter how deep the betrayal, your future is still your own to write. And mine was just getting started,